Hey, good afternoon. My name is Rich Hart, and welcome to another segment at Rich Hart Global Studios, all right, here in beautiful downtown Atlanta. Hey, today we're going to be talking about carving the turkey out of podcasting. How podcasting itself has taken a giant-sized leap forward, and what you can do, all right, adding podcasting to your world, your marketing world, at minimal cost, or perhaps maybe adding some great quality and really reaching out to your audience in a different way. Today, my guest is Mr. Rich Casanova. Rich Casanova is our master engineer, all right, podcasting engineer and master sound engineer here at Rich Hart Global Studios, all right? Rich, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Rich. A lot of hats I'm wearing here, but yeah.
Let's talk about podcasting.
Let's talk podcasting.
What's the podcasting about?
So what's amazing about podcasting is, I'm sure as a realtor, you know that you've got to dominate, own in your space. And not only have a lot of competition, but there's a lot of challenges going on in today's world, right? And so you've got to be connected in a disconnected world, as we like to say, right?
Yeah.
One way to do that, and in addition to all the other stuff in the toolbox that Rich has talked about in the other series, is podcasting. Right. I'm sure you've heard about it. If you haven't, Google it. It's amazing, right?
It's all over. And video casting.
Yeah, video casting, which you'll talk about here in a minute, right?
Without a doubt,
but in terms of podcasting, it's an amazing way to create content, relatively easy. You don't have to become a subject matter expert in terms of a speaker, author, and that kind of thing. But podcasting can really give you a platform and a stage to get your message across as a expert authority in your space, right? And without a lot of heavy lifting. We're going to talk about some of the tools and what you need. Yeah. But before we go into the next segment, I just want to close with the idea behind that is you can create a solo podcast where you can also interview people. That would be some of the people you've sold homes to, some of the local people in your neighborhood, the associations, as well as a global audience.
Good deal, super. Hey, Rich, a couple of questions for our audience today. So, hey, we've entered into this giant-sized virtual world where story, content, humor, and a level of entertainment is being bridged in a whole different manner today.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we touched on that in the beginning of what this podcasting is, but how is this podcasting really bridged to not only what we do, but what you have done over the inception of?
Right.
All right.
Well, I've been in this space for about 5 years. We've generated over 1 million downloads on multiple platforms. Right. We have a podcasting network. We partnered with Rich Hart here as the engineer element. And so it's just amazing what you can do. From just getting started, a solo podcast, just getting your voice heard, right to the, in terms of SEO for your website, there's many moving parts of this,
You know, Rich, we're in the world of disruption right now.
Yep.
Okay? And over the last couple of months themselves, people have found it very hard and difficult to really continue to act, work, and develop their business as what they used to.
Right.
All right? Face-to-face communication, things of this nature. Podcasting gives us a different alternative to that.
And one of the things that's really different about it is that it's completely mobile. It's completely, you can take it with you everywhere. This morning I was walking out along the Chattahoochee River here in Atlanta, and I was listening to about 3 different podcasts.
Right.
I don't have to have a device in front of me. I don't have to interact. But I've started to subscribe to some of their messaging that they're communicating, whether it's they're talking about branding, I'm talking about marketing, about sales in my space. But as a realtor, and if I'm thinking about buying a house and all of a sudden I'm Googling, one, you're going to come up higher in the SEO. 2, you're going to people can listen to you before they engage with you.
Right.
And you're going to be the go-to person. Right here in Atlanta, matter of fact, there's a commercial real estate agent that we've had on stage here at our facility. He's owned the space. Right? I mean, he just dominates as a result of podcasting.
Right, and utilizing that podcasting to reach their audience, to reach their listeners.
Right, yeah.
Especially not only in their local geographic areas, their local farming communities, all right, but really reaching out to developing maybe referral base, and now international. And getting into an international
because you do a lot in the international space. But here's the beauty about it: if you're in, Houston, Texas, or if you're in, San Diego, wherever you are, you might be building your real estate network there because you have a podcast that's traveled anywhere, and we can help you with the distribution of that, syndication on all the major platforms.
Exactly.
If you decide to relocate at some point, you can kind of take your podcasting with you. Mm-hmm. It's completely mobile, completely virtual, and then you can parlay that into a book. I mean, there's tons of opportunities, right?
Right. Yeah. When people see and they think about podcasting, and they think about anything, not only podcast, but video cast, webcast, all right, to really putting on. We've seen the age of Zoom.
Right.
and we're zooming in that world. We're able to record that and get
zooming
that.
in, zooming out,
Zoom in, we zoom
yeah.
in, we zoom out, right? And we get into that, and we actually start the recordings. And a lot of individuals don't like how they sound or don't like how they look.
Right.
Okay. And within certain types of tools that are out there, very economical,
Right.
I can say. Okay. Now, there's two sides to this. We'll be talking on both sides. One, the economical side of
Right.
tools themselves we could purchase ourselves in order to do this with
Yeah.
our own computers.
Yeah, you can do a DIY, start very simple, but you hit on something a second ago, how you can kind of repurpose that. So once you don't like the way you look or sound or whatever kind of
Right.
thing, you can record the podcast and make it an interview guest style. So you can have subject matter experts come in on your podcast, whether virtually or in our space or in your space, right? And you can interview influential people that are the authors, the speakers in the space, as well as maybe the real estate associations in your community. But what's really cool about podcasting, and we can help you with this, or you can DIY, you can take that content and have it transcribed, and that package it becomes a blog on your website.
That's right.
And talk about SEO gold for your website.
Exactly.
Google loves content, whether it's video, audio, but a lot of people forget the actual text. Instead of having to write something out, you've already recorded it. You can repurpose it not as a blog, but later you can actually create chapters of a book. But again, or a PDF, you become the go-to person. I mean, I'll just share real quickly. Like in our studio, we do a show called the Franchise Business Radio. It's hosted by an expert in the space. She's been in space for 20 years. Since she's launched her podcast, she is kind of the go-to person when you want to seek out and start a franchise.
Right.
She becomes a person because everybody knows her in that space, right? So you can do the same thing in real estate.
What we're trying to do with the podcasting and reaching this podcasting is continuing the conversation, just on a different platform, just in a different format.
100%.
All right. So a couple things themselves.
Yeah,
are
let's
very
talk
simple.
equipment. Let's talk tech.
Tech ties. There's our tech talk.
Tech talk.
A very small mixing board to bring the quality of sound in. Computer itself we have sitting over here.
Wire to microphone.
Microphones themselves. We could show you how to wire those in very simply, very easy, because I'm looking for good quality sound and on top of it, good quality video. All right. In today's video world, we're seeing 720. We're seeing 1080. And that's the resolution rates themselves of how we want our message to come across. Whether you're using a Mac or whether you're using PC, with a very, very small investment, you could really capitalize on starting getting your message out there. All right. So those are some of the small tools.
Yeah.
We can also help you with that too as well. The additional piece out here, all right, there's software. And some of the software of individuals themselves. And we know we've used several out. StreamYard we use out there. We've got Speaker out there.
Spreaker.
Spreaker is out there. Squadcast.
Squadcast is awesome for audio. They're adding a video element to it as well. And then if you're just into audio, Zencaster is another one.
Zencaster is the
so
other one.
So we have a whole
exactly.
toolbox that we can share with you as well, and including a podcaster masterclass. But again, you can learn on your own, or we can ramp it up for you. You can be in our Atlanta studio, and you talk about basically bringing people in virtually to your studio, right?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing.
Right.
What we've done out here in our studios themselves, whether virtually or whether you're live or continuing to be in the virtual world, we can host any which way, any which form. All right, and to bring studio callers in, and or bring live folks in. All right, because that's the age. That's where we're getting to.
Yeah, most of our content for those first million downloads we actually had people in the space in the studio, and we're moving back to that, right? But in the interim, you know, we can do some magic here by having your guests call in and interview, as well as listeners that want to call in. The other piece of this is we want to talk about is the distribution. So now you have the podcast. Now what? Right? Again, DIY, or we can help you get on Google, on iTunes, on all these other platforms, Spotify, and so forth. Right?
You want to get your message out there. I think it's extremely important. All right. Today in our short clip is just really taking a look at podcast, see our videocast, and it is a way, all right, to really start to get your message out, folks. I don't know how long we're going to be still cooped up in different parts of the country, but your message is very important. The story, the content, the humor, the level of entertainment that we bring into the real estate platform to reaching your clients and your clientele, whether it be existing, perhaps new, or those themselves you don't know who's going to be your next client, all right, to really reach it, because you never know who's going to really start to get into the podcasting, okay?
Two quick things before you give the call to action, right? So we're talking to a realtor. Just picture this. Every realtor has that photo on their business card, right? Through the power of video, you can make that photo come alive, right?
Yeah.
And the other piece is you can write a book, but at a certain point, it has a limited shelf life, right? So the beauty about podcasting or video casting is you can create a series, an ongoing weekly series with new content, what's trending, what's current. So how would people, what's our next step?
Well, the next step out there, however you want to get involved in the podcasting side, all right? Whether you want to take it on yourself or taking on, looking at some of the tools, we can help you with that
We're
too
a resource
as well.
for that.
Definitely so.
Right.
If you want to be able to actually host your podcast,
Right.
all righty? And if you're in the Southeast area, great, you pop in. If
Yeah.
not, we can do you virtual, all right?
Right.
But if not, itself, you want to know a little bit more about what's going on in the podcasting, folks, that's the next step to take. Okay, and we're on our social networks, and we're diving down and reaching out to newer people, newer contacts,
Right.
newer prospects every day. A call to action out here is if you want to reach us a little bit deeper on this, all right, you can reach us at 1-888-966-0878. Reach us at the studio. You want to talk to Rich, you can talk to Rich direct. We don't let him out very often.
Rich Square, or ask for Jennifer, right?
Yes, ask for Jennifer.
And then you can also check out the website,
Your
right?
website too as well, richhart.com.
Okay.
Or, all right, reach us at info@richhart.com. That's info, I-N-F-O, at R-I-C-H-H-A-R-T.com. Rich,
Y'all, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
on
without a
behalf
doubt.
of both Riches, we'll see you on the internet and on your podcast.
yeah, we want to see you next podcast. So this is Rich Hart saying thank you very much, carving the turkey out of your podcast to make you shine. We'll see you soon. Thanks. Take care.